All right, everybody, welcome back to the Move podcast, brought to you each and every day this year by Ventum Bikes. Of course, we had Dia on the show yesterday talking about the business he's built. Probably saw some images of my rocket ship out there yesterday, my NS1, all custom painted up. I love that thing. And my GS1, my gravel bike, is my other favorite. And then I think we might have achieved or accomplished naming the new bike that they're releasing very soon, the electric adventure bike. Special offer for our listeners, 10% off if you head on over to ventumracing.com/themove. Use the code WEDO and get you 10% off. If it doesn't show up in 3 weeks, another 10% off. Of course, today we were talking about stage 17. Alain, where'd we go?
Stage 17, from Saint-Gaudens to Peyragudes. From Saint-Gaudens to Peyragudes.
That was a little better. That was a little better. Today's show also brought to you by Momentous. Special guest also on the show today, Momentous founder Jeff Byers, who I think has one of the coolest stories in endurance sports. He's built up, when you think about human optimization and building out a suite of products to optimize the body, whether it's performance, recovery, all these different things, the man and his team has done it. He's going to tell us more about that later. But don't trust us. Over 175 pro and college teams trust him and the company. 75% of the NFL teams out there buy their products. Of course, PR Lotion. We're seeing Geraint Thomas hang in this Tour de France. I never would have believed it. Hats off to him. Avid user of PR Lotion on a daily basis. I think he's been posting about that on his socials. Absolutely works. Buffers lactic acid, creates higher performance. Absolutely amazing. Now's the time for you to start using the world's best supplements and get the best products to optimize your life. Momentous is giving you 25% off your order using the code WEDO25, WEDO25. Just head on over to livemomentous.com/themove. Also today brought to you by Roca, another incredible founder, Rob and his crew down there building absolutely the best. And you know what I'm seeing, G? Is tons of people rocking Rocas out there. Like when we go ride, and you've seen it at the Fondos, I mean, Rocas are like everywhere now. Back in the day, it was other big sunglass makers. Now it's like Roca Central.
Yeah, I love the readers. Yeah, I love the springs on the sides of them.
It helps me not lose as many, but not at the sunglass side, the prescription side, lightweight, no slip, the best optics on the market. Special offer for our listeners, 20% off. Head on over to Roca, that's ROKA.com, 20% off, and the code there is THEMOVE. Well, time's running out if you're Tadej Pogacar. I mean, he's you kind of don't know how to discuss. I mean, you can't take away from the fact that he's won 3 stages this tour, but I think we can all agree he came here to win the yellow jersey in Paris. I think time is running out.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, today sort of started out as a disaster day for UAE, losing Micah yesterday after the chain incident.
Unbelievable.
And then Hershey was one of the first guys dropped, but then what a comeback for them. They had a really strong presence with McNulty, who we're going to officially name the double boomstick of the day.
The ride of his career.
I mean, amazing. But to have McNulty just basically pulled for the last 30 kilometers up the last 2 climbs, had the best climbers in the world on the limit. I mean, we're seeing a true GC contender coming up here with McNulty. It's awesome to watch. Great kid. This is, in my opinion, an American renaissance for cycling.
Hold on, I want to double click on that. You really think so? A GC contender? I'm not. I just want to double click on it. I don't want to debate it or argue it. I could see it. That's a bold statement.
Think about all the work he's been doing these last 3 weeks. And to still be the best of the best, and in the 3rd week on one of the hardest days in the mountains, riding everybody off their wheel, nobody could attack. Not even Jonas. He couldn't attack. He was just on the wheel the whole time. So his ride was incredible today.
He looked pretty.
But all the Americans, for the most part, have been amazing. Powless, Quinn Simmons was in the breakaway today. They've all been riding really, really good. It's awesome.
Yeah, McNulty's only 24. Again, just this whole onslaught of people under the age of 25.
Yep. No, he rode, and it's crazy to think they're down to 4 riders on UAE. This Peloton has been ravaged, right? There's been some COVID issues. There's been some crashes. There's been other things, but this, and we said this going back the first week. The first week was so fast and so stressful. The second week, just on paper, looked hard. Then the heat wave hits. this is going to go down as one of the hardest tours we've seen. We've already seen the average speed is more than 42 kilometers an hour. So over the course of 3 weeks, as we're approaching 3 weeks, it's hard to really put in perspective just how hard. It doesn't sound that. I mean, look, you could go do a century and do it in 42 kilometers an hour, no problem. But over the course of 3 weeks, it is unbelievably hard. And you really see it, and JB and I were just looking at, before the show started, the finish for today, and you go look at the times, is literally one by one by one. These guys are shadows of themselves. It's just, and to see the devastation that Brandon McNulty put on everybody at the end, to put a button in it, dude.
We're 3 weeks in, and today's stage on paper, 3.5 hours long. You'd think not a big deal. I don't think we ever had a 3.5 hour stage in our day, but it was essentially 3.5 hours at threshold for everybody. The winners and the guys coming across the line in last place, which we actually have a great video of Fabio Jakobsen making the time cut by 17 seconds, and all of his team, or most of his team, is there waiting for him. And look at this. This is incredible. 17 seconds, y'all.
You're waiting for the guy with the broom wagon. Okay, they call that, for those who don't know, the broom wagon is that van that follows the guy that's in last place. Broom meaning just sweeping the course.
Of course, that's very important because he has a good chance of winning in Paris.
Well, all the sprinters have 2 more opportunities, but what a story this would become if it makes it by 17 seconds. Obviously, he's got this ton of support within the team. That'd be a hell of a story.
Yeah, think about, for all you viewers that haven't raced a Tour de France or a race of this caliber. I mean, this puts in perspective how hard this race actually is. One of the best riders in the world that will probably most likely win on Friday is barely making the time cut by 17 seconds. I mean, crawling across the finish line. He's got his team egging him on. Now they have a chance to win 2 more stages in Tour de France. Think about that. It's an incredibly difficult sport. It doesn't get much harder than that.
Speaking of stage wins, we have another graphic, which I find this one is so impressive. Even if time is running out for Tadej Pogacar. Here is somebody, Cafe Roubaix, put this up on Twitter. Tour de France stage victories by the age of 23. And I'll just read, if you're listening and not watching, just listen to this. Eddy Merckx, 0. Bernard Hinault, 3. Mark Cavendish, who has, of course, Eddie and Mark are tied for the most ever. Tadej Pogacar, 9.
Wow.
So that's Eddie Merckx 0, Hinault 3.
Go back to that slide real quick for me. So we were gonna tease it out, but it's confirmed. We're gonna have a special guest on there. Mark Cavendish will be joining us on Friday, which will be super fun.
You came through.
Coming through this year.
Yeah,
bringing the heat.
That up for you.
Bringing the heat.
Well, at the rate that Tadej Pogacar is going, it's not going to take many years before.
True.
This debate is over.
Yeah, a year or 2 ago, no one will ever break that record. Right. It could happen. We can also take a look at the sprint from Pogacar.
I like that little rope-a-dope he pulled.
300 meters from the finish line now. The move
again, Brandon McNulty, he is still on the front pulling.
You say this was 17%, right? Or 12% right there.
Yeah.
13%.
Yeah.
Couldn't let his teammate McNulty take that win.
That's
16%, y'all. So 200 meters to go may seem not like much, but that's a long way to go. That's 16%.
Oh, I mean, it looks like we're watching this in slow motion. Vingegaard goes. So I do think here he thinks he can distance him, which would have been the biggest boss move he could have pulled. Pogacar still got a little left. He's there, man. And then the rope-a-dope, he comes around. The kid loves to win.
But also, I mean, look, Jonas, even with thinking he was going to win the stage, is still able to get back on the wheel and does not lose a second.
Yeah,
I mean, he is clearly in control of this situation right now.
He loses. The only time he does lose are the 4 seconds in the differences in the time bonus. Pogacar gets 10 seconds. Vingegaard gets 6, so he, in effect, loses 4. Probably not a big deal. It's the kid just races. I don't. I personally would not be that excited to win stages if the writing was on the wall that I was going to lose the yellow jersey. But he's got an amazing upbeat attitude. I think the tactics this tour have been totally off. I didn't understand the attack on the climb before the finish climb. I don't know if that was an attack to try to drop Vingegaard and get away from him on the downhill, or if he's sprinting for my favorite jerseys points. Neither makes sense to me.
No. Yeah, I mean, why waste energy for that? Although they were clearly, like we predicted yesterday, if they're going to ride at the front, try to make it hard, might as well go for the stage win, which is what we saw happen today. I mean, they only had 4 guys left in the race. They still won the stage. They took the race by the horns, so to speak, with Brandon McNulty. And but those little things, like those sprints, we were calling them out from the first week. You know, these sprinting for 8th place, 9th place, full gas. I mean, that all takes a little bit away from you, and he's still doing it. When he sprinted for that KOM, we were all like, "Wait, what?" We were scratching our heads. We don't get it.
I have a question for you guys on the tactic with McNulty, because if Pogacar's better on punchier climbs, then he's basically just pacing them both up there. Why not peel off and let them duke it out earlier? Yeah, that might have given Pogacar an advantage.
And I'm curious what George said. The only thing I can think of is he knew. Look, if it were me and I was not having a great day, or I did not think that I could get away from Vingegaard, I would want somebody to set a tempo that we could control, put it high enough so that nobody can attack, including Vingegaard. And just keep it in a steady rhythm that's comfortable for me. We minimize our damages. There's still tomorrow, of course, and there's still the time trial. I think we minimize the time trial. It's still the race of truth. It's still 40 kilometers. It's still at the end of this tour. Anything can happen.
And look what he did 2 years ago.
Of course, but if he's not on a great day, you want to just keep it at a controllable tempo that you can sustain and you won't get attacked.
As an American, I was a little disappointed by especially the finish climb with Brandon McNulty going so good, doing so much work for Pogacar. I mean, they could have clearly played a little bit of a different tactic. I think Pogacar should have helped McNulty win that stage. It wouldn't have really messed up his overall battle at all. In fact, it could have helped him tactically to sit up and let McNulty go up the road, see if Vingegaard chases him down, and then all of a sudden we have an American stage winner. I was hoping to see that. Unfortunately, we didn't see it.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to. That makes sense too.
Yep.
Yeah. Today's show also brought to you by Athletic Greens. Take control of your health. Check this out, right? If you're like me, you don't too many Cinnabons and chips and salsa. Well, we got your answer, right? This is how you get your greens and your veggies and your fruits in. Over 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens help you start your day off just right. And like I said, take control of your health. Let's make it easy. Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D, which Dr. Hincapie told us the other day.
I don't absorb it.
You don't absorb it. A lot of people are low in this. Plus 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/themove. That's athleticgreens.com/themove. Now, before we get to the next one, and if you look at my Instagram, y'all will see some pretty entertaining footage. Now, I didn't.
Oh goodness, not on here. Come on.
So
back at the house, I thought we were.
I understand you. I understand you are a MD, PhD.
Look, he has them bring him the weights.
I didn't. So now you've got a couple mats.
Oh my goodness.
So wow. So this, and of course we have our head of HR out there. I'm surprised that she would allow herself to. The man has no shirt on. Hang on a second. I feel like there is some corporate violation here. Now
I'm trying to get on the. I try to get on the show clean and fresh.
I didn't realize you were a PhD in jazzercise. All right, so Joe Natale, could we please drum up some sort of Jane Fonda meets George Hincapie meets jazzercise clip?
Hey, in the words of El Chato, the body doesn't shape itself, y'all. You heard it here first.
Well. I mean, I'd show that clip again. I don't know what the fuck that's going to do for you. I mean, you look like you're starving yourself out there, though.
Hey, we're having a good time up there at Aspen. What's it called? Aspen Mountain Fitness.
Right.
And our boy Brandon's taking good care of us every day before the show. You go to the office. I don't know what you're doing there. What? Derek. Okay, sorry, Derek. A little off today. Our boy Derek's taking great care of us. You give us 10 minutes, and we get the most we can for these 10 minutes. But he had an awesome quote today. He said, "People show up to Aspen Mountain Fitness thinking they're strong. They get here, they realize they have nothing, something like that.
No, we saw that. that demonstration.
And it was, yes, he was talking about us.
Can we just
But
pull
we're
up the
trying.
last
We're
clip?
trying.
Colton, pull up the last clip one more time, please. Now, what? Honest. What?
Yeah, that's kind of
That is.
the best part is he's sitting here filming this, and we had no idea.
Yeah,
okay?
exactly. And Lizzie
How do we know you're
I made y'all a
filming?
clip afterwards. So I'm in the office. That is actually right outside my desk, my office, and I go to open the window just to get a little fresh air, and I'm like, oh dear, this is too good. I had to capture that.
We had no idea you were filming.
I can see that.
You got us. You got us good.
Also today brought to you by Wahoo. As you all know, we love technology. Wahoo has a true ecosystem of products that all work seamlessly together. You got the Kicker Smart Trainer, you got the Rivals Sports Watch, you got the Bolt GPS, and now, new in the portfolio, you got Speed Play pedals. All these things rolled into one. Wahoo has built quite the platform for people that love to suffer, as most of us do. Because that didn't. No, I just keep thinking about the jazzercise. That's like I'm doing real shit.
Oh my god!
Check it for real. Exclusive offer to our listeners until July 24th. Wahoo is offering 20% off using the code THEMOVE at checkout. So head on over to wahoofitness.com. Use the code THEMOVE for 20% off. Again, good until July 24th. Oh God!
You should join us sometime. We do it every day. Every day during the week.
One other thing we do want to, and this is fair point. Like I love this part of this show and the platform. Like we go out on the edge of things sometimes, and we call it the way we see it, and we hear from people. People say, hey, you're wrong, or fuck you guys, or whatever they say. I don't read them, thank God.
No, they do say fuck you guys.
Yeah.
And you know what? That's okay, because I say fuck you guys to a lot of people a lot of the time, so that's fine. I get that. But we got some criticism about our position on Roglic, which we didn't know, and I hope we had prefaced it like, look, we are not inside the team. We do not know what those conversations were like. As it turns out, he was so banged up that the team sent him home.
Yeah.
Which our battle again. We're not inside the team bus. We're not at the team hotel. We're not in the team meetings.
We were saying he should at least stay through the rest day.
But
for the team,
of course. If it's we didn't know if it was his decision or the team's decision. Turns out it was the team's decision. They said, "Look, you got to go home. You just can't." I mean, by all accounts, could barely move, could not throw a leg over the bike. Well, yeah, you got to send him home. So our bad on that one.
Yeah, it didn't look like it on TV. He was still riding really well, but apparently, he had some serious lower back pains going on and can barely walk. Yet still putting it all on the line for Jonas on the bike. So I think the team just decided he was going to do some more damage, and he's one of their if not the highest paid rider on the team. That it's their investment and they got to protect it.
Yeah. Let's see.
So maybe we'll see him healthy for the Vuelta again.
Yep.
I think Johan and I have talked about this. It's been won 4 times, not 4 times consecutively. So there's that, but he's got to go up against Pogacar.
Right.
Pogacar is doing the Vuelta?
That's what he said
but
a few months ago. That
I
may
guarantee
change.
you that's not going to be a big battle there. I don't think so.
Right.
I also want to, and we touched on this earlier when we were talking about Momentous. Geraint Thomas is hanging. Hats off to this guy. 35 years old. Did lose time today, but everybody lost time today. He's, of course, in this race for the podium with Quintana and Bardet.
Which Bardet, I mean, he put it all. He went out early, really risked his podium spot. I like to see that kind of racing. We're not talking much about the 3rd, 4th, 5th places. But there's a huge battle going on there, and there's a lot on the line. It's fun to watch the excitement going on back there.
And those 3 guys, these aren't new guys. These are 3 guys that we've been following for close to 10 years, 7, 8, 10 years, right? Bardet, Quintana, Geraint Thomas. It's cool to see them duke it out. Now, if you're Geraint Thomas, you're like, okay, guys, I'm just going to ride steady tempo. Keep in mind, I got a 40-kilometer time trial at the end. Bardet and Quintana, 2-3 minutes in the time trial, easy. So I think we'll end up seeing him on the podium. I think the podium's set.
Yeah, agreed. The podium is set.
I'm going to kind of circle back to McNulty, because you guys are getting you've already said it on the show, the future for American cycling. When you start naming off all those names, starting with Paulus in the first week.
Jorgensen, who's been in most breakaways, trying his ass off every day.
Sepp Kuss has been great.
Quinn Simmons.
Yeah.
Who shaved, by the way. Did you see that?
Did see that.
No, I didn't. I did again. You can't even tell it's him.
Right. Who is this guy?
Who is this dude? We get a lot of questions. Like, when are we going to see either another American Tour winner or, a dominant American team, which we don't have? You have the makings of that team. And it doesn't have, by the way, it doesn't have to be a squad that's comprised of 100% Americans, right? You take all these young guys. Of course, you got to work out their contracts and where they are and when they're up and they can go to a new team. And then you sprinkle in some seasoned European guys. You sprinkle in certainly a director, an assistant director, the whole staff around them that's the best of the best. And you approach it from an F1 perspective. We have the makings of that now. Now, are any of these guys good enough to beat Pogacar, Vingegaard? Right now, no. But you start building. Sky did it.
We got the guys.
When Sky created that team, and they took a bunch of guys from the track, and they stated, we're building this team to win the Tour de France. I fucking fell off my chair. I said, you ain't never winning the Tour de France. Well, guess what? I was dead ass wrong. So you can do that with this crop of kids.
All it takes is money. Anybody got 25, 35 million laying around? Just give us a holla. We make it happen. American team. Let's go.
It's fascinating to me that you are asking the audience for access to money when all you do.
But funny enough, even with that money.
I woke up today and of course I'm reading all the news. You reading like bike tweets and shit. I'm like reading like news. And I come across a story by a very good friend of yours that will not be named, who's building his mom a 40,000 square foot house in Palm Beach. And I mean, the access to capital that George Hincapie has, and he's asking the listeners of The Move to give him $30 million.
Funny enough, even if I got the 30 mil, you can't just buy your way into the World Tour now. No more. The spots are allocated. There's the license, the 3-year license is coming up this year, and they're all taken. Like, even if you come in with 30, 40 million bucks, of course you can be a second tier team and have a great team and put together an amazing, like Alpecin did, because they weren't World Tour. But you're not going to go straight into the World Tour. The answer is you take, and I shudder to even mention their name, but the amount of money that Trek must be putting into that team it's a good team, not a great team, is good. Maybe on its best days, it's good. Reimagine the team, recreate the team, There's
rebuild
no bitterness
the team.
there, is there? Like, do you guys sense any of that?
Well, there's a ton of bitterness, but that's neither here nor there. I'm calling it the way it is. Like that is it. You're already in the Pro Tour. Restructure that team. That's what they ought to be doing.
Yeah.
See, you said
they got a stage win, and they've been in all the breakaways. I think they've had a great tour.
Potential's there. That's forget who does it. The potential is there. We get a lot of questions about it.
No.
We have the horsepower in this country to do it.
Not only that, but all these Americans in the tour right now, what are they doing? They're inspiring the guys that are just on the edge, the younger 16 to 18, 19-year-old Americans, watching these guys, their fellow Americans do so well on the tour, is just inspiring another generation.
Yeah. You see it with Enzo. I mean, all these kids he trains and races with all over the country. And that as a whole, right? That body, that Peloton, we'll call it, of 13-year-olds.
Yep.
I mean, think about it. 13. I didn't know what a derailleur was when I was there. They are so much better than we ever were. It's coming.
Yep.
You know what? We're going to jump around here. Colton, follow me here, because this is a good time to read that email when you're talking about 13, 14-year-olds. This is great. I wanted to share.
I can't wait.
No. I wanted to share a couple pictures in light of Lance and George's reminiscing about when they first met. These pics are from 1989 at the National Junior Championships in Colorado Springs.
Oh, dear.
First pic is of Lance getting the gold medal in time trials for 17 to 18-year-olds.
I don't even remember that. I'm rivaling George's hair from that cover of GQ, it appears.
Michael, who sent this in, says, I was 14 at the time, but I remember hearing the buzz about this triathlete that is switching to cycling.
Wow.
Now, you mentioned Enzo, who's how old now? 13?
14 now.
14.
Yep.
The second pick is of George winning the silver medal in the criterium for 14, 15-year-olds.
Whoa.
The reason my dad
cool.
took this pick is because my roommate that summer is the guy in the middle wearing the gold medal. That's from Michael in Anaheim.
That's cool.
How great is that?
Dude,
That's Paul
people
Abrahams.
are pulling out the. This is back when they used to print out the photos.
Yeah.
Like rummaging through the storage bin. I know they're somewhere. We didn't talk about tomorrow's stage. I don't want that to get away from us because tomorrow is not. Tomorrow's a beast of a day. So I just want to touch on it.
Another short day distance-wise.
To one of my favorite mountains, Hotikam, which such wonderful memories there. An HC climb, a Cat 1 climb, and then a final HC climb up to Hotikam. This is a much harder day than today.
Yeah.
So, I mean, look, Pogacar, and they asked him in the post-race interview, do you still think you can win? And he says, absolutely. Like that amount of optimism, because I think time has run out, but just that like youthful, eternal optimism. Like, I can't wait. He's got to try. This is a beast of a day.
Yeah, I mean, I would hope to see Brandon McNulty in the breakaway. So I think they would try to use him tactically. But look at that. Go back to that. The start of the stage is going to be absolutely brutal. That slight uphill for 5-6 kilometers. Oh, that is the worst kind of start you can have in a Tour de France, because there's going to be tax from kilometer 0 and most likely be a big breakaway. But we're going to see some of the top lieutenants try to get in that move just to be able to help their leaders later on in the stage.
We shall see.
Yeah.
Before we show a new slide from Joe Natoli, we need to, in case people missed the show yesterday, we need to revisit a moment from the show yesterday so you understand context.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Okay.
So this happened yesterday. If you missed it, the show.
So we had a director who was also sort of the GM of the team. Wasn't paying the staff. We had a dad woke up one day, came down to the breakfast table in the middle of a grand tour. No staff, no soigneurs, no mechanics. Staff walkout. I'm like, and we were down to 3 riders. I'm looking at the other 2 guys. I'm like, and I'm in 4th. I'm like, which one of you motherfuckers is going to give me a massage tonight and lube my chain? That sounded super weird. But no, for real, I was like, wait.
We couldn't stop laughing there.
No, but hang on, for real. No, that was not planned. God, that got me hot under the collar. Hold on. As Chappelle says about Kanye, rewind that.
Classic moment from yesterday.
Good.
Now here's
that is the
highlight of the tour for me.
The fact that stuff just, I don't even know what I was thinking. Like that just, maybe I should think more. Like that just comes out.
Now here's what Joe has for us. If for those of you watching.
Oh, so this is Lance Armstrong all-in-one chain lube and massage oil. You've never known lube like this before, says Lance Long-Lasting Armstrong, tested by the best riders in the Peloton. If you know what I mean, friction-free and in so many ways. Works great with your on and off switch. I mean, Joe Natoli for the win today.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Amazing.
Oh, that's so good.
I am. And anybody that was offended, I'm not really sorry. No, that was. I am. I don't. It just, and it was a true story. I mean, I didn't ask the guys to like give me a massage, but it was like the whole staff thing, and it was a disaster. It was a true story.
All right, little Bikes for Kids Uvalde update. You guys continue to give, even though we hit our goal. So we will continue to pour that money into that community. We'll do some training camps for these kids is in the plans. We're going to buy them a ton of spare tires and tubes and pumps to keep at the school. And so, yeah, we're at almost $255,000.
Unbelievable.
And then we have Morgan news. The bikes and helmets are arriving in Austin.
Oh, wow.
Because Melojohnny's is bursting at the seams. This is out at Ski Dock.
Wow.
This is what's going down at Ski Dock today. Operation Get Out Bikes for Kids Uvalde, together with We Do the Move, Wish for Wheels, and Melojohnny's. Of course, Lance, JB, and George. Bikes are coming out of 2 different trucks as fast as we can get them out.
Wow.
Pretty awesome. Thank you to all the donors.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Huge effort.
Thanks, Hart family, Danny and Winnie Meyer, Patty and Tom Bornschein, Ken Gart. Thank you for your donations.
Cool. Ken Gart. Great. Yeah.
Out of Denver, you know Ken?
Yeah, very well.
Cool.
Thank you, Ken.
Here's a fun email for you guys that taps into your other interests too a little bit. JB, Lance, George, and head of HR. Thanks for the great content and producing a great show. This has 3 different parts here. Lance and George, how many miles would you bike on average per week during the off season in the fall when preparing for the Tour de France that summer?
Per week?
Off season?
Yeah. What kind of mileage would you do?
Usually would take off 3 to 4 weeks without any biking, just to kind of reset the whole body, and then just start off. I would start off slowly in November sometime, doing 3 hour rides, like 4 or 5 days a week, just to start building some base. In December, start kicking it up to 4 to 5 hour rides during the week with some intervals, and then January, full gas, 4 to 6 hour rides and all in, because obviously I was trying to get ready for the classics, which is in April, so less time than Lance had to get ready.
You had to be on form earlier.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's totally changed. I mean, I think these guys basically train year round now.
Yeah, well, you see a lot of these top guys too. They're doing the Vuelta just so they can have that bigger base in the winter, which we never even thought about doing the Vuelta. By the time the Tour was done, we're like, all right, done. See you in douches. I don't want to race anymore. But a lot of these guys are racing a lot later in the year just to have that base, carry them further through the winter.
Here's a fun part to the question. Maybe you can add an explanation to your answer. One for each of you. Lance, would you rather play golf against Michael Jordan or Tom Brady?
It's a great question. Oh, God, put me on the spot. I don't think Brady gambles that much, so I'd probably pick Jordan. Jordan's is a degenerate gambler. I've heard he's listening to outcomes, just laying bets left, right, and center. But the old line on Jordan. And I've met Tom Brady on a golf course before with my son Max, and it was the coolest thing ever.
Did Max lose his mind?
He did lose his mind. Brady let him hit with his driver. He said, "Hey, just borrow mine for a hole." It was so cool. But Jordan has this famous line when he goes out and plays, because he'll play for anything. People say, "What do you want to play for?" Right? Most people play $10 a hole, $20, whatever, $1 a hole. He says, "Whatever makes you nervous."
Have you played with Barkley? He likes to gamble.
I have not played with him. I don't think I'm afraid to get around that swing.
And then the second part, George, would you rather play tennis? And it's funny where they choose their names. Play tennis against Pete Sampras or Andre Agassi?
Oh, man. That's actually really tough.
This is from Ryan in Denver, by the way.
That's super tough. I would say Andre Agassi, just because his book is one of my favorite sporting books of all time, The Open. Just really gives you an amazing insight to how hard tennis actually is. And I'm a big fan. I actually have texted back and forth with him a couple of years ago, and he's a really nice guy. But also a huge fan of Sampras. I mean, they're both amazing. But I guess if I had to choose, I'd go with Agassi.
And Sampras, you'd never hear from.
Hey, that's what I love.
He's the guy's like just a dad and a husband, and like
just rode off into the sunset.
He's also a great golfer, but you just never hear that. I respect the shit out of that.
Yep, agreed.
Well, cool. If you want to send in a question, we only have a few more stages for you on the men's, and then we'll transition into the women's and field questions there.
Tomorrow, all-out battle. I mean, it's the last day for Pogacar to make the move.
That's right. And stay tuned. We have our special guest, Jeff Byers from Momentous, coming on, talk about what they're building. And also, we'll spend some time touching on his own personal journey, which I think is pretty cool.
All right.
As promised, our special guest, Jeff Byers from Momentous. Of course, Jeff, you and I know this, and we touched on it a little bit through the tour, but a company that we backed and invested in via Next Ventures. Super proud of that. Way this thing has grown and come together, literally. But I want to touch on a little bit of your background. I think because people know the products, they know the brand. I don't think they know your story. We pulled up a photo. This is amazing. You see Jeff.
Oh, God. So
here's a guy. Walk us through this. Here, of course, All-American at USC.
Yeah.
Then drafted.
Wasn't an All-American, but
nobody's looking that up. I like saying it. I think it sounds cool. It's good for you. Should have been an All-American at USC. Still hasn't forgiven me over that
05 win.
That
was a tough one.
that was a tough one.
He was there. I was
Facts
there.
aren't always the priority on this show.
Yeah,
you should know that by now.
Don't let the facts get in the way of a fun story. But let's go back to the photo. So here you are now, running one of the coolest optimization endurance companies out there. How much? What are we talking? What are the vitals here?
The vitals, not healthy. I played about 300 to 310, most of my playing weight, and played center guard. So yeah, big man in the middle.
Wow. And now?
Depending upon what I'm training for, 230 to 240.
Right. And all of that from just, finding endurance, the bike, triathlon, running.
Yeah, I really, when growing up, I grew up in the mountains in Colorado and just loved endurance sports, loved skiing, loved biking, and had a really hard time maintaining weight from college on. And I was like a 10,000 calorie a guy day just to maintain. And I was like hey, can I put a 10-pound plate in my pants when I would get on the scale so I don't get fined for being too light in the NFL? And they're always like, you got to be 320, you got to be 325. And I barely stayed at 310, 300 alone. Like the best I played when I was starting, I was probably like 295. And I had a little deal with the strength coach. He always wrote like 309, 308, 310 on the sheet. And coach would be like, oh man, see, you're heavy. You're playing so much better. Right. When I retired, I was like, oh, coach, when I was playing great, I was.
So what was that deal? Was that deal like a round of beers? Was that like a $100 handshake? What kind of deal?
Just my buddy. He's still my buddy, Joe Ken. He goes by the house.
So wild, the complete opposite of cycling, of the goals. But you probably saw, it's got to be so common for guys that size to play in the NFL when they retire to shift their lifestyle.
It goes two ways.
Right.
Bad way or good way. Yeah. And very rarely does it stay the same. So
it's funny, like like you said, complete opposite, but it reminded me of a story with Victor Hugo Pena, our host there in La Movida. He used to race for a Spanish team. They would weigh him in every morning. You have to, and it was like they would have nightmares. They couldn't sleep because they'd weigh in. And if they were like a gram or like 500 grams heavier or a pound heavier, they weren't allowed to eat breakfast, and they can only have apples on like a 6-hour bike ride. I mean, think about that. I mean, we'll have Victor tell a story on La Movida, remind Johan, but he would tell a story where they'd wake up just sweating like, oh man, I'm not gonna be able to eat all day. Crazy.
That sounds terrible.
Yeah, and that's so antiquated. Like we're not that's nothing's like that anymore. Yeah. Including, and then we can jump right in, including to what you guys have built. I love the Geraint Thomas story. He's been an avid user of PR Lotion for many years.
Yeah, much like you all, G invested in the business, been a shareholder, been super supportive.
Yeah, super cool. And still, and he posted up on his Instagram the other day, every day putting on the PR Lotion, buffering the lactic acid. People kind of, it's funny, people are like, man, does that really work? I'm like, dude, it works. Just try it. And then inevitably, 2-3 days later, people are like, damn, that works.
Yeah.
I mean, and the science backs it.
Yeah, that's what's so cool. I think, when you and I first met, we had really good data. Didn't have great data, right? But we always had this vision, how do we get more data? How do we get more support? Which is very different, I think, for a consumer company like ours to fund clinical research. But we've done 8 clinical trials. We've got 2 more that are in the publishing vein right now that were funded by the Department of Defense that really just hands down, lockdown, PR Lotion reduces acid in the muscle. Like, no questions asked, which is awesome.
And I remind people all the time, that is, if it's a little confusing, I think a lot of us understand that, but if you just went out and ran up a hill or sprinted up a hill on your bike as fast as you could, you start to slow down, eventually you'll stop. The thing that's stopping you, keeping this very simple, is lactic acid, right? So the more you can buffer that and clear that and move it through the body, the longer you can go.
Yeah, essentially.
Sounds like a damn good idea to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about these 2 new government contracts? That sounds, I always love this. Like, this is kind of cool shit. Like, I'm like, it's like James Bond type shit. Like, that's amazing.
Yeah, PR Lotion's really unlocked some unique access in the Department of Defense with us. So with PR Lotion, we won 2 government contracts. They funded a ton of clinical research. But we found these other angles in human performance and optimization. And the government's really, right, how do we invest in the soldier performance or tactical performance? And they're pretty far actually behind what's happening in a pro and elite sports outside of really the special forces operators. Right. And so we found all these pockets of problems of how do we enhance soldier performance, Marine performance through supplementation or design different products for that. So we won one contract around connective tissue health. So how do we reduce down days due to torn ligaments, things like that. We all know about collagen. I'm sure you've talked about it a bunch. But
George, I don't know. Yeah. I don't know if you're making enough. The man, it literally.
Yeah. You look beautiful, George.
It's my go-to product.
Look at the man.
The skin.
And so the guy came up the other day with one of the loading thing with a bunch of collagen for G for all his coffee. He does it every day.
Yeah. That's fascinating. So it's making a novel collagen product. We're partnering with UC Davis. Keith Barr is one of the top researchers, and we're going to create a new collagen that should have much better connective tissue health. So not just skin, hair, and nails, but how do you actually affect joint health? So that one we were awarded about a month ago, and then we were awarded what was so exciting to me is a cognitive, neuroprotective cognitive performance product. And so it's going to be a mixture of a bunch of different known supplements, et cetera, but we're doing that clinical research at University of South Carolina, not my USC. Got to be careful how I say that.
It's tricky.
But basically, when you think about it, we know there are things like creatine and omegas that are really good for your brain health. And we know creatine actually has a neuroprotective components to it. So how do we take things you think about an operator, special forces operator, hitting a target, they're going in, they're breaching, blowing shit up, right? All the cognitive stress they have. How do we protect that brain a bit more beforehand? But then you think about the implications for youth sports, right? Where brain injury is a huge thing in the sport I come from. It's has potential to cripple football as we know it because of all the discussion around cognitive decay and brain issues, and like the next 20 years of all these guys going through. It's going to be scary to see what happens.
Wow. Damn. As you get older too. I mean, we all feel it now. I'm 50 and you just feel a little different getting out of the bed every day. Like you start talking about connective tissue and these quality of life things, like sign me up.
Yeah.
How's your Trojans going to do this year?
We made a big bet. We better we better win. If we don't win, we made some big mistakes here.
They put all the chips in. Now, the good news is, and my son, just so you know, I haven't told you this yet, but my son's, of course, just graduated from Rice University. He's like, Dad, Rice is playing USC this year. We got to go to the game in the stadium, right? I'm like, you do realize that we'll be there, like, this is like a quarter long, right? They're going to be up like 70-0.
Yeah, probably. I would expect that. But you guys will be able to move down, be right in the front, have great seats,
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, because we know you.
USC fans are great, but when you're up 70-0, the stadium's empty in the second half. That's like, whereas like you go to Nebraska, and when we were crushing Nebraska back in the day, like that stadium was full to the end. Like they're giving you a standing ovation. Like SC is just like, we're going to go to the beach. We won this thing.
Yeah, they're going, like, let's imagine George and I are at USC. We go to USC and they're beating Rice 70-0. All right. We get through the first quarter. George says to me, "Hey, Lance, you get us a resi at the Soho House, dude?" In college. Where's the valet?
True.
Oh man.
Oh shit, dude! Thanks for coming on. It's cool what you're building.
Yeah, it's been super fun.
Yeah, and I love the way it just like this. We talk about stuff on here. Of course, a lot of the stuff we talk about on here is actively used in the stuff that actually most of it, right? Whether all the stuff that we talk about day in and day out, it's cool to see it here with Garrett. And if he finishes on the podium, this is it's legendary. And I don't know if you saw the pre-show. I was like, this guy's not going to be, but good for him.
Yeah.
He's hanging in there. He's riding a smart race. I think he made an amazing performance.
That's amazing. Yeah, G's been, like we said, awesome to the business and been a very avid PR relation usually, even when he won the tour. So like at the very start of this thing.
Well, there you go. That says it all.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks for tuning in.
Jeff.
Thanks, Jeff. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. We'll be back tomorrow for the last day in the Pyrenees. Pogacar's almost last chance. Never know what happens in the time trial, but tomorrow's a big one. See y'all tomorrow.